It is the BKFC 34 headliner, a gentleman of violence, Tom Shoaff, lightweight title on the line, main event. I mean, this is a big moment in your career. I guess, what's the feeling just a couple days out from this one?
I feel great, man. Honestly, it's just all focus. That's really it. It's been a long time coming. Yeah, I've said it many times before. I've been expecting this fight for about 2 years now, ever since I moved down to 155 pounds, and the goal was always to fight the best, to be the best, and now's my opportunity. So this is the last 18 months just come to fruition. So I'm excited, man. I'm just ready. Just like I said, laser focused.
I love it. You were kind of an early adopter, if you will, of BKFC, right? I mean, you were in on kind of the ground floor, but let's be honest, at first it didn't necessarily go your way. You weren't getting the results. So I was curious, was there any part of you in those early fights that was like, okay, well, maybe this isn't the sport for me, or maybe I'm not going to be a fit here?
No. I never had any doubts like that. It was just, it was more having an honest understanding of where I was and where I needed to be. I was fighting at 165, 170 pounds, and that's just the wrong weight class for me. I'm a tall, skinny guy. So to be in there with those, short, stocky type of guys that, outweigh me by 20, 30 pounds, it's a bad matchup no matter how you look at it. So making my move down to 155 pounds and dealing with people a little more manageable, I've said it again, or I said it before, and I'll say it again, the proof's in the pudding. I went 1-3, and now I'm on a 3-fight win streak, sitting at 4-3, getting ready to go 5-3 come December 3rd, so this is my weight class. This is where I belong.
I love it. Obviously, finding the right weight class is huge, as you said. I mean, it just makes it fair. But, I mean, anything else as well? Because this seems like a sport that does have, like, a little bit of a learning curve to it, right? I mean, you've got to figure out the pace, the rhythm of it a little bit, right? So were there also just some understanding or some strategical approaches, or do you really just chalk it up all to that weight class change really did it all for me?
I would say that there's absolutely been an evolution in my game, and I've understood and developed a new style over the last couple of years. And a lot of it has to do with the offensive and defensive differences between fighting bare knuckle and fighting with gloves. When you have gloves on, you can afford to take a couple of shots, kind of get in and get where you need to be and go from there. You can't really do that in bare knuckle, So I've gotten better about not taking so many shots. I've gotten better about being a little more defensively sound. And my offense is just as, powerful and scary as it's always been. So I think the good portion of it was me being at the right weight class. You watch my fight with Julian Lane, you watch my fight with Joe Elmore, both my fights with Diego Garijo. It wasn't that I was outclassed; it was that I was outweighed. That's the long and the short of it. Diego and I put on 2 stellar fights. No fans or buts about it. We put on 2 stellar fights. And then Julian, he's just too big, but we put on fight of the night, and then, Joe Elmore, same thing, it's just too big, man. We put on fight of the night, then and then it got nominated for fight of the year. But yeah, it just goes to show that, I can compete with those guys. I just couldn't beat those guys. Put me in my right weight class. I can beat these guys.
I love it. The other thing I find interesting about your career, Tom, is that you're still obviously actively grappling as well. In fact, you got your black belt, which I know that's just a massive moment for anybody that trains martial arts. I guess first, just talk about what that moment means, because I know what a long journey that is. But also, is that, because you're leaving the door open to potentially mixed martial arts or grappling, or is it just, you just still have that passion? Talk about what that moment meant, and I guess why you've decided to keep pursuing that even while you're in an all striking sport.
So that moment was unexpected, to say the least. I showed up for a regular Monday promotions. It was just, we're just it's the first one we had done in a couple of months. It's time to, get some people bumped up on their belts, throw a couple of strikes out there. Wasn't expecting anything. And then I got that, and then, I found out that I was getting my black belt and I got promoted. So that was stellar. It's one of those things where it was 12 years on the mats just culminated into one moment. So it was a really beautiful moment, and I got to share it with some fantastic people, and I couldn't be happier about that. But I got into bare knuckle because I started my career in MMA. I love striking. That's what I love to do. And I started to learn grappling and jiu-jitsu because I was fighting MMA. That's part of the game. That's something you have to learn. And the reason I came to bare knuckle was because I was sitting at 11-4 in my MMA career, and 11-5 is not so good. 12-4 is pretty good, you know. And I was on a 2-fight win streak. I was a purple belt, and at 15 fights, like you could the level of competition you're gonna get is only so low. You know, you're not fighting scrubs anymore. So it was very important that I continued to win. So I decided to take some time off from MMA, focus on my grappling. Just so happened that was right about the time that bare knuckle kicked off. And I thought, this is perfect. I can fight, I can get paid, and I can still train in my jiu-jitsu and my grappling and come back to MMA later on. I haven't had an MMA fight since. I love bare knuckle. I love the sport, and I love playing jiu-jitsu. I love coaching jiu-jitsu. I love the sport of jiu-jitsu. And the door's definitely still open for me to come back and do some MMA fights. But right now, my focus is really on winning that title and then retaining that title. I wanna defend that bad boy a couple of times, you know, and really staple my place in history with this sport. You know, much like Luis did. And then I'll think about, you know, going somewhere else. But that, you know, right now I'm 33 years old. I've got the best years of my life physically ahead of me. So who knows what's going to happen, you know, by the time I hit 38, 39 years old.
Well, I love it. I mean, as you were saying, I want to, put my name in history. It made me think, well, gosh, then isn't this the perfect matchup, right? I mean, it's not just a title fight, but it's the number one pound for pound guy. It's the guy that really, I mean, has become the poster child of this organization through what he's done in there. So, I mean, what do you see in him? Obviously, another MMA veteran as well that has transitioned incredibly well. I guess, what do you see in his success? I mean, is he a cut above? Is it just, I mean, why do you think he's had the success he's had?
Well, I mean, one, he's great. Like, you know, you can't take that away from him. You know, Luis Palomino had a fantastic MMA career. I want to say he had like 43 fights in his MMA career. Now he's had 7 fights in the bare knuckle, you know. So, you know, these guys had 50 fights. He's got a really high IQ and a really good understanding of how to compete and how to fight. What I see when I look at him is somebody who is athletic and mentally sound when it comes to the fight game, but he relies too much on his athleticism, in my opinion. All I see is an athlete. I see somebody who can fight, yes, who can fight and who will fight. But anytime he's in there with a dog, anytime he's in there with somebody who just wants to get in his face and wants to give it to him as much as he wants to, you know, give it out, he doesn't fight the same. You know, you go back to his MMA career and watch some of his fights at the World Series. Come back, you know, to his bare knuckle career and watch his fights with some of his taller guys. Even when he fought Dat Nguyen, you know, Dat Nguyen came forward on him for the first 2 rounds, and it paused him. It kind of, you know, it put him in a place where he wasn't sure how to continue this fight anymore. And that's what I see when I look at him. I see a 42-year-old guy who's had a stellar career up until this point. I think that I'm bringing something completely different to the table. I think I'm bringing a combination of things that he hasn't seen before, and we're gonna find out if I'm right come December 3rd. You know, that's the long and the short of that, man. I see a great fighter. I see a stellar athlete. I also see a man who's gonna be broken, and I'm gonna take his belt.
Boy, you got me. If I wasn't excited for it already, you laid it out there. I mean, talk to me about what this will mean for you, Tom. I mean, like I said, the special moment of getting your black belt, the culmination, but to come in here to overcome some early adversity maybe, and then to earn yourself to the title and to not only claim a belt, but to knock off, again, the number one pound per pound guy to do it. I mean, there's no questions asked at that point, I guess. So what would this moment mean to you?
You know, again, this is an opportunity. This is literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Most fighters never make it to world championship level. Most fighters never see it. And on top of that, like you said, I'm fighting the pound-for-pound guy, double champ, you know, champ. And for me, man, like I said, it's just it's proof that the last 15 years of my life haven't been for naught. It's proof that I can compete with the best of the best. And once I beat him, it's proof that I'm the best in the world. And that was never really my goal or my intention. But it helps solidify everything moving forward, because being a coach and being a professor, now I can Now I can take anybody from any combat sport and I can say, I can get you there. You want to fight MMA? I can do that. You want to learn jiu-jitsu? Got a black belt. You want to do bare knuckle? I was a world champion. You want to do kickboxing? Done it. Gloved boxing? Done it. You know, so it's like it solidifies my standing for myself. You know, it just proves to me that I've put in the work and I've done what I needed to do to be the best in the world. And to be honest, this isn't even the top of the hill. Like I said, not only do I have to win it, but I got to maintain it. I got to hold on to that for a little while. So that's the chapter that I'm looking forward to now, and the chapter that I'm working towards now is I'm not looking past Luis in any way, shape, or form, but mentally I've already won that belt. Mentally that belt's already mine. I just got to go out there and take it from him. That's
I
it.
love it, man. I love it. So well stated, man. I love the way you look at it. Well, listen, on paper, it looks like it's going to be a phenomenal fight. It's BKFC 34. It's this Saturday, December 3rd, Hollywood, Florida. If you can't get in the building, it's live on the BKFC TV app. And Tom, we wish you the best of luck, man. Appreciate the time, and we'll certainly be watching.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you having me on.